You've tried everything. The vision boards, the affirmations, the journaling, the gratitude lists. You've watched the videos, read the books, maybe even attended seminars where someone told you that all you had to do was believe hard enough and the universe would deliver. And yet, here you are, still waiting, still wondering why it works for other people, but not for you. What if I told you that the problem isn't your belief? What if the problem isn't your desire? What if it isn't even your worthiness, which, by the way, was never in question? What if the real reason manifestation fails is because you've been using the wrong instrument entirely? Pause. There's a single energy that determines whether imagination becomes reality, and most people never activate it, even though it sits in plain sight. Right there, in your hand. Now, before you dismiss this as some abstract spiritual concept, stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you isn't mysticism dressed up in modern language. It's the convergence of ancient wisdom, quantum physics, and advanced neuroscience. It's the missing bridge between thought and form, between wanting something and actually having it. And the most remarkable part? You can begin using it tonight. Let me ask you something that might seem strange. Have you ever walked into a room and immediately felt something was off before anyone said a word? Before you saw anything unusual? Have you ever thought about someone you hadn't spoken to in years, and then they called you that same day? Have you ever had a gut feeling so strong that you changed your plans, and later discovered you avoided something terrible? These aren't coincidences. These aren't supernatural events. These are glimpses of something you've always had access to, but were never taught how to use consciously. You are surrounded right now, in this moment, by an invisible field of energy that extends beyond your physical body. This field responds to your thoughts, amplifies your emotions, and broadcasts your inner state into the world around you. Scientists call it your bioelectric field. Ancient teachers called it your aura. Neville Goddard called it the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Whatever you call it, it's real, it's measurable, and it determines what manifests in your life. Here's what's fascinating. Your hands contain the highest concentration of bioelectric sensors in your entire body. They're not just tools for touching the physical world. They're transmitters, they're receivers. They're the primary interface between your consciousness and the field of infinite possibility. And nobody ever taught you how to use them, until now. In 1944, a man named Neville Goddard stood before a small audience in New York City and said something that would quietly change the lives of millions, even though most of the world has never heard his name. He said, "Feeling is the secret." 3 words. And in those 3 words, the entire mystery of creation, not visualization, not affirmation, not positive thinking, feeling. Neville wasn't a scientist. He wasn't a guru. He was, by his own description, a simple teacher of one idea. But that one idea was so profound, so radical, that it threatened to overturn everything we'd been taught about how reality works. He taught that your imagination, when properly felt, is the actual creative force of the universe, not a tool for dreaming, not a way to pass time, the actual force that shapes matter, attracts circumstances, and determines what appears in your life. But here's where most people misunderstand him. When Neville said feeling, he didn't mean emotion. He didn't mean excitement or happiness or positive vibes. He meant something far more specific. He meant the sensory experience of the wish fulfilled. The physical sensation of touching, holding, and being in the reality you desire. Let me read you his exact words. "An assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and to live in that feeling is the way to assume it." Notice. Assume the feeling, not assume the thought, not assume the belief, the feeling. And then he went further. In his lectures, Neville would instruct his students to do something peculiar. He would tell them to close their eyes and touch their desire. Not metaphorically, literally. He would say, Imagine that you're holding the congratulations letter. Feel the paper. Notice the weight of it in your hands. Run your fingers along the edge. Or he might say, "You want a new home?" Then before sleep, feel your hands resting on the banister of that home. Feel the texture, the temperature, the realness of it. Why did he emphasize this so specifically? Here's something that will reframe everything you understand about reality. Your brain cannot tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and an actual one. This isn't spiritual theory. This is neuroscience. When you vividly imagine biting into a lemon, your mouth produces saliva. When you vividly imagine a threatening situation, your heart rate increases and stress hormones flood your body. When you vividly imagine an intimate encounter, your body responds physically. Your brain doesn't care whether it's real or imagined. It responds to the signal, and the signal is sensation. Now think about what this means for manifestation. If your brain accepts vivid sensory imagination as reality, then by deliberately creating the feeling of having what you desire, you're reprogramming your subconscious mind to accept that reality as fact. You're not hoping for something, you're not wishing for something. You're installing it, and your hands, with their 17,000 nerve endings, their direct connection to the largest areas of your brain's sensory cortex, their exquisite sensitivity to texture, temperature, and pressure, are the most powerful installation tools you possess. But here's where it gets even more extraordinary. What if your hands aren't just passive receivers of sensation? What if they're actually transmitters, capable of generating specific states of consciousness on demand? What if the ancient teachers knew something about the hand that modern science is only beginning to confirm? What if you could press two fingers together and immediately shift from doubt into certainty, from anxiety into calm, from wanting into having? This isn't science fiction. This is what happens when you understand the hidden map in your own hands. Before I show you the practical techniques, I need to share something that will fundamentally change how you see yourself. There's an ancient metaphysical principle that says, "As above, so below. As within, so without." This principle, recorded thousands of years ago, states that the external world is a reflection of the internal world, that the macrocosm mirrors the microcosm, that what happens in consciousness eventually appears in matter. Modern quantum physics has arrived at the same conclusion through a different path. At the quantum level, particles don't have definite properties until they're observed. They exist in a state called superposition, all possibilities at once, until the act of observation collapses them into a single reality. Hear that again. Let it land. Reality doesn't exist in a fixed form until consciousness interacts with it. This is called the observer effect, and it suggests something radical. Consciousness is not a byproduct of reality. Consciousness is what creates reality. Now here's the mind-blowing connection. Your hands are your primary instruments of focused observation. When you touch something, you're not just sensing it, you're collapsing possibility into specificity. You're telling the quantum field, this, here, now. Every time you reach out and touch something, you're performing a tiny act of creation. You're determining which possibility becomes actual. And when you understand this, when you truly grasp that your hands are creative instruments, manifestation stops being a mysterious spiritual process and becomes a precise science. Let me share another metaphysical principle that Neville taught extensively. He called it, everyone is you pushed out. This means that every person, every circumstance, every event in your life is a reflection of your own consciousness. The world isn't happening to you. The world is happening from you. Now, this isn't about blame. It's not about saying that every bad thing that ever happened is your fault. It's about recognizing that you are far more powerful than you've been taught. If reality is you pushed out, then by changing your inner state, You change what gets pushed out. You change what appears. You change what's possible. Neville said, change your conception of yourself, and you will automatically change the world in which you live. Not change your actions first. Not change your circumstances first. Change your conception of yourself. And how do you change a conception? How do you shift an identity that feels fixed and solid? Through feeling. Through creating the sensory experience of being someone different. Someone who already has what you desire. Someone who lives in the reality you're trying to create. Your hands make this possible. Because when you engage your hands in imagination, when you feel yourself touching the life you want, you're not just thinking a new thought, you're becoming a new person. Here's another piece of the metaphysical puzzle. Time, as you experience it, is not what you think it is. Physics tells us that time doesn't flow in a single direction at the quantum level. Past, present, and future aren't separate compartments. They're all here, all existing simultaneously. And what we call time is how consciousness navigates through possibilities. Neville taught this same concept using different language. He said that your future already exists. The version of you who has achieved your desire is real, not as a potential, but as an actual being existing in what he called a state. Manifestation isn't about creating something new, it's about shifting into a state that already exists. And the shift happens through feeling. When you create the sensory feeling of the wish fulfilled, when your hands touch the reality you desire, you're not pulling the future toward you. You're stepping into it. You're moving from one state to another. This is why Neville said, live in the end. Not live toward the end. Live in the end. Because the end already exists. Your only job is to match its frequency, to feel what it feels like, to occupy it so completely that your consciousness migrates there and takes your physical experience with it. Now, I know this might sound abstract, maybe even hard to believe. But what if I told you there's a simple way to test this? What if tonight, before you go to sleep, you could experience this state shift for yourself? What if you could feel in your own body the exact mechanism that Neville spent his life teaching? And what if it involved nothing more than your hands? Stay with me, because what comes next will change everything. Let me show you something that will seem almost too simple. Your fingers are not just fingers. Each one is connected to specific neural pathways that influence different states of consciousness. Think of your hand as a 5-key instrument, and each key plays a different note in your nervous system. When you understand this map, you can consciously choose which state to activate: the thumb, will, and ignition. Your thumb is neurologically unique. It's the only finger that can touch all the others. It has its own dedicated brain region, larger than what's devoted to your entire leg. The thumb is associated with the brain regions that govern decision and initiation. When you press your thumb against another finger, you're activating the circuits of will. You're telling your nervous system, I have decided. This is happening. Notice how when you make a fist or give a thumbs up, there's an immediate sense of determination. That's not cultural conditioning. That's your neurology responding to the gesture. Neville often spoke about the importance of assuming the wish fulfilled, not hoping for it, not wanting it, but deciding that it is already done. The thumb is your ignition key. The index finger, focus and direction. Your index finger is your pointer, your director, the finger you use to say that one or there. Neurologically, it's connected to the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus, attention, and executive function. When you press your thumb to your index finger, you're creating a circuit of directed intention. You're telling your brain, focus here. This is what we're creating. This is the gesture of precision, of clarity, of knowing exactly what you want. In metaphysical terms, this is the finger of selection. In a universe of infinite possibilities, you're selecting which one becomes your reality. The middle finger, awareness and presence. Your middle finger, positioned at the center of your hand, is associated with presence and centeredness. When activated with the thumb, it brings your attention into the now. It anchors you in the present moment, which is the only moment where manifestation can actually happen. You cannot manifest from the past. The past is memory. You cannot manifest from the future. The future is anticipation. You can only manifest from the feeling of now. Neville understood this deeply. He would tell students to imagine their desire not as something that will happen, but as something that has happened. To feel it as a present memory, not a future hope. The middle finger grounds you in that present tense feeling. The ring finger. Form and grounding. Your ring finger is connected to neural pathways associated with structure, stability, and materialization. Think about why wedding rings are worn on this finger across cultures. It represents commitment, permanence, the transformation of intention into solid form. When you engage this finger with your thumb, you're signaling your nervous system that the desire isn't just a thought, it's becoming physical. It's taking form. It's crystallizing from possibility into actuality. In Hermetic philosophy, this corresponds to the principle of correspondence, the process by which spiritual reality descends into material reality. Your ring finger is the finger of that descent. The pinky finger. Emotion and flow. Your pinky finger is connected to the limbic system, your emotional brain. It governs the flow of feelings through your body. When there's emotional resistance, fear, doubt, unworthiness, energy gets stuck. Manifestation stalls. You might think the right thoughts, but they never land because there's an emotional dam blocking the flow. The pinky releases that dam. When you press your thumb to your pinky, you're signaling your nervous system to soften, to let go, to allow. This is why manifestation fails for most people, not because they don't visualize, not because they don't believe, but because they carry unsoftened emotional energy that blocks the embodiment of their desire. The pinky is your release valve. Now, I want to be crystal clear about something. This isn't about performing mystical hand positions and expecting magic to happen. This is about understanding that your hands are neurological tools, and when used consciously, they can shift your internal state faster than any thought alone. Your subconscious mind doesn't respond to words. It responds to state, to the overall feeling tone of your being, and your hands can change that state in seconds. Here's something that's going to sound impossible until you try it. When you combine the right finger combinations with vivid imagination, the feeling of your desire doesn't just seem real. It becomes indistinguishable from memory. Your subconscious mind can't tell the difference between something you vividly imagined and felt and something that actually happened. This is how manifestation works. Not through hoping, not through wanting, through creating memories of events that haven't happened yet. And your hands are the instruments that make those memories stick. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Margaret. Margaret was 58 years old when she first heard about manifestation. She was going through a difficult time. Her husband had passed 2 years earlier. Her children lived across the country, and she felt, in her words, invisible. She wanted companionship, connection, a sense of purpose again, so she did everything the books told her. She visualized a partner. She wrote affirmations every morning. She created a vision board and put it on her bedroom wall. 3 years passed. Nothing changed. When I spoke with Margaret, I asked her one question. When you visualize your desire, where do you feel it in your body? She paused, thought about it, and then said something that revealed everything. I don't feel it anywhere. I just see it in my mind. And there it was. Margaret had been trying to manifest with thought alone. pure mental imagery, disconnected from her body, disconnected from sensation, disconnected from the feeling that Neville called the secret. Her visualizations were like emails that never got sent. The message was written, but it never reached the subconscious, because the subconscious doesn't speak in words and pictures. It speaks in sensation. Here's something neuroscience has confirmed that changes everything. Your subconscious mind processes approximately 11 million bits of information per second. Your conscious mind? About 50 bits per second. Hear that again. Your conscious mind handles 50 bits. Your subconscious handles 11 million. This means that 99.99% of what you experience, decide, attract, and create in life is being determined by a part of you that doesn't respond to conscious thought. So when you sit down to visualize, when you repeat your affirmations, when you try to think your way to a new reality, you're using 50 bits to try to override 11 million. That's like trying to redirect a river by blowing on it. But sensation, physical, embodied feeling, speaks directly to those 11 million bits. It bypasses the tiny conscious mind entirely and rewrites the programming at the source. This is why Neville was so insistent about feeling. He knew intuitively what neuroscience has since confirmed. The subconscious is changed by state, not by thought. Let me share another reason manifestation fails. And this one might be uncomfortable to hear. You don't actually believe you deserve it, not consciously. Consciously, you might fully believe you deserve health, wealth, love, success. You might have done years of personal development work. You might know intellectually that you're worthy. But deep in your subconscious, in those 11 million bits running the show, there's a different program. A program installed in childhood. A program built from disappointments and rejections. A program that says, people like us don't get that. This program doesn't announce itself, it just quietly sabotages. It makes you procrastinate. It makes you self-doubt. It makes you choose people and situations that confirm its beliefs. And here's the thing, you can't think this program away. You can't affirm it into submission. Because it doesn't live in thoughts. It lives in your body, in your nervous system, in the tension you carry without noticing. The only way to change it is through felt experience. Through creating, in your body, the actual sensation of being someone who is worthy, who does deserve, who already has. And that's exactly what the hand practices I'm about to teach you do. They don't just give you a technique. They give you a backdoor into your own subconscious. I want to share something that happened to Margaret. After our conversation, she began using the hand activation techniques I'm about to teach you. Every night before sleep. Sometimes during the day when doubt crept in. The first week, nothing external changed. But something internal shifted. She described feeling more solid, more here. The second week, she noticed she was sleeping better, waking with anticipation instead of dread. The third week, she made a decision she'd been putting off for years. She signed up for a pottery class at the local community center, not because she thought it would lead to companionship, but because she felt like doing something. She felt alive. In that class, she met a group of women her age. They started having lunch together, then dinners, then weekend trips. A year later, Margaret told me, I didn't manifest a partner. I manifested something better. I manifested myself back. She was no longer invisible. Not because anything external had changed first, but because her internal state changed. Her subconscious program changed, and reality rearranged to match. This is what's possible for you. I want you to participate with me right now. You don't have to be in a special place. You don't have to close your eyes if it's not safe. You just have to be willing to feel. Here's what we're going to do. First, think of something you genuinely desire. Not a fantasy. Not something you think you should want. Something that matters. Something that would change your life. Maybe it's health. Maybe it's financial peace. Maybe it's a relationship. Maybe it's simply feeling at ease in your own skin. Whatever it is, hold it gently in your awareness. Now, take your dominant hand and bring your thumb to your index finger. Just touch them together, lightly. Not hard, this isn't about force. It's about contact. As you hold this connection, notice three things. First, the pressure. The physical sensation of thumb meeting finger. Second, any warmth beginning to build at the contact point. Third, any subtle pulse or vibration. Just notice, don't judge. Simply observe. Now, while holding this connection, bring your desire to mind. But don't just think about it. Don't see it as a movie screen picture. Instead, ask yourself, if this were already true, if I already had this, what would I be touching right now? Maybe you'd be holding a letter of acceptance. Feel the paper. Feel its weight. Maybe you'd be resting your hand on someone's shoulder. Feel their warmth, the texture of their clothing. Maybe you'd be gripping a new steering wheel. Feel the leather, the curve, the solidity. Make it sensory, make it real, and notice, as you engage both the finger connection and the imagined sensation, something shifts. The desire stops feeling out there. It starts feeling here. This is the state Neville called the state akin to sleep. The drowsy, receptive, certain state where imagination becomes indistinguishable from memory. Where the wish fulfilled feels as real as something that already happened. Stay here for a moment. Let the sensation deepen. When you're ready, release the finger connection. Take a breath. And notice how you feel. Something is different, isn't it? There's a settledness, a calm certainty, a sense that something has landed. This is what manifestation actually feels like, not hoping, not wanting, not trying to convince yourself, just knowing. Now let's address what often sabotages manifestation. For some of you, that exercise felt natural, easy, even pleasurable. But for others, there was resistance. Maybe you couldn't quite get into the feeling. Maybe your mind kept interrupting with doubts. Maybe you felt tightness, anxiety, or even sadness arise. This is not a problem. This is information. That resistance is why manifestation has felt hard. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because there's unsoftened emotional energy blocking the embodiment. Think of it like trying to pour water through a clogged pipe. You can pour as much as you want. Visualizations, affirmations, positive thoughts. But if the pipe is clogged, nothing gets through. The clog is unprocessed emotion. And here's the thing about unprocessed emotion. It lives in your body, not your mind. It's stored in your muscles, your fascia, your nervous system. No amount of thinking will release it, but sensation can. Let me teach you the second practice. Bring your thumb to your pinky finger. Gentle pressure, light connection. As you hold this, notice what happens in your chest, your shoulders, your jaw. Many people report immediate softening, a release, as if a held breath is finally being let go. This is because the pinky thumb connection stimulates vagus nerve pathways associated with emotional regulation. It signals your nervous system that it's safe to feel. Now, while holding this connection, allow yourself to become aware of any resistance to your desire. Not the desire itself, the resistance. Maybe it's fear you don't deserve it. Maybe it's belief that wanting is selfish. Maybe it's an old wound that taught you not to hope. Whatever it is, don't fight it. Don't fix it. Just notice it. And as you notice, continue holding the thumb-pinky connection. Breathe slowly. What you're doing is allowing the emotional energy to move, to flow, to complete its circuit and release. You might feel a subtle wave of emotion. Let it pass. You might feel a shudder or sigh. Let it happen. You might feel strange lightness, as if something heavy has been set down. This is emotional release. This is what makes manifestation possible. Neville rarely spoke directly about emotional clearing in his era, The language didn't exist. But he pointed to it constantly. He would say, "You must abandon yourself to the feeling of the wish fulfilled." What is abandonment but release? What is surrender but letting go of resistance? When you release emotional blocks through sensation, through the body, you clear the path for desire to manifest. Manifestation doesn't require special powers. It requires unobstructed flow, and your hands can create that flow. Now let me share something that connects everything at the deepest level. In 1944, the same year Neville gave his most famous lectures, physicist Erwin Schrödinger was wrestling with a paradox that would become one of the most famous thought experiments in science. He imagined a cat in a box. The cat's fate was tied to a quantum event that had a 50-50 chance of killing it. According to quantum mechanics, until someone opened the box and observed, the cat was neither alive nor dead. It was both. This sounds absurd, but it's mathematically true at the quantum level. Particles don't have definite properties until observed. They exist in superposition, all possibilities at once, until observation collapses them into a single state. Now here's what makes this relevant to manifestation. If consciousness collapses quantum possibility into reality at the micro level, what happens at the macro level? Some physicists, including Nobel laureates, believe that consciousness doesn't just influence particle behavior. They believe consciousness is fundamental to the universe. That matter arises from consciousness, not the other way around. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, said, "I regard consciousness as fundamental. I regard matter as derivative from consciousness." If this is true, then everything you experience, your body, your circumstances, your entire world, is consciousness taking form. And your consciousness is shaped by feeling. Let me share another quantum concept that's going to blow your mind. It's called quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, they remain connected regardless of distance. Change one particle, and the other changes instantly, even if they're on opposite sides of the universe. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance. He didn't like it because it seemed to violate the rules of space and time, but it's real. It's been proven in countless experiments. Now think about what this means for manifestation. If particles can be connected across infinite distance, if they can influence each other instantaneously, regardless of space, then maybe thoughts and outcomes can be connected too. Maybe when you create a vivid, embodied feeling of your desire fulfilled, you become entangled with that reality. Maybe the feeling creates a quantum link between where you are now and where you want to be. And maybe that's why Neville was so insistent on feeling as if it's already done. Because in the quantum sense, it already is done. The reality exists. You're just creating the entanglement that connects you to it. Here's another piece of scientific evidence that supports everything I'm teaching you. The HeartMath Institute has been researching the heart's electromagnetic field for decades. They've discovered that your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body. And this field is modulated by emotion. When you feel frustration, anger, or anxiety, your heart's field becomes chaotic, incoherent, scattered. But when you feel appreciation, love, or calm certainty, your heart's field becomes smooth, coherent, powerful. And here's the remarkable finding. Coherent heart fields appear to influence your environment. People become more cooperative. Situations flow more easily. Coincidences multiply. Now think about what happens when you practice the techniques I'm teaching you. You're activating will, focusing intention, imagining fulfillment, releasing resistance. All of this shifts your heart into coherence, and that coherence radiates outward. You're not just changing your internal state, you're changing the electromagnetic field you project into the world. You're becoming a magnet for your desire, not metaphorically, but electromagnetically. Here's something I want you to understand deeply. Science and mysticism are not opposites. They're two languages describing the same reality. The ancient teachers didn't have EEG machines and quantum laboratories, but they had thousands of years of careful observation. They noticed what worked, what transformed, what created change. And what they discovered through direct experience is exactly what modern science is now confirming. Consciousness creates reality. Feeling shapes consciousness. Your hands are the instruments that make feeling tangible. Neville was right. He was just 80 years ahead of the science. Now let me bring everything together into a complete practice. Neville described the manifestation process in 3 parts, though he used different language. Part 1. The imaginal act. Clearly define and vividly imagine your desire, not vaguely, specifically, sensorially, as if you are there. Part 2. The emotional knowing. Allow yourself to feel the fulfillment, not excitement of wanting, the calm satisfaction of already having, the contentment, the normalcy. Part 3. The sensation anchoring. Use your body, specifically your hands, to anchor that feeling into your nervous system, to make it so physically real that your subconscious accepts it as fact. When all 3 align, manifestation isn't something you try to do, it's something that happens. Let me guide you through the complete sequence right now. Find a comfortable position. Take a few slow breaths. Step 1. Bring your thumb to your index finger. This activates will and focus. As you hold this, say silently, "I have decided this is done." Feel the certainty of decision. Not hope. Not wish. Decision. Step 2. While maintaining thumb index, vividly imagine your desire as already fulfilled. But instead of seeing a picture, feel a sensation. What are your hands touching in that fulfilled reality? Make it physical, textured, real. Step 3. Notice any resistance that arises, any doubt, any tension. When you do, gently release thumb index and shift to thumb pinky. Hold this and allow the resistance to soften. Breathe, release. Step 4. Once resistance dissolves, return to thumb index. Now add the ring finger, press thumb index and ring together. This activates form and grounding. Feel your desire solidifying, becoming real, materializing. Step 5. Relax your hands completely. Take a deep breath. Say silently, "It is done. Thank you." That's the complete sequence. Will, focus, imagination, release, grounding, gratitude. This takes less than 5 minutes, and if done before sleep, as Neville consistently recommended, it works even more powerfully, because the drowsy pre-sleep state is when your subconscious is most receptive. Let me share something about why the pre-sleep state is so powerful. When you're falling asleep, your brain waves slow from beta, active thinking, through alpha, relaxed awareness, into theta, deep imagination, and finally delta, sleep. The theta state, that drowsy zone between waking and sleeping, is where your subconscious is most accessible. It's like a door opening between your conscious and unconscious mind. This is why Neville always said to practice at night before sleep. In that state, the images and feelings you create don't just stay on the surface. They penetrate. They sink into the subconscious, where the real creative power lives. When you combine the hand techniques with the pre-sleep state, you're essentially programming your subconscious while the door is wide open. There's one more element I haven't shared yet. It's something Neville called the bridge of incidence. And it explains exactly how your inner changes translate into outer results. This is the piece most people miss. And without understanding it, they give up too soon, right before manifestation would have occurred. Stay with me, because this might be the most important part of everything I'm teaching you. When Neville talked about manifestation, he often used a phrase that confuses people: the bridge of incidence. He said that after you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, your desire doesn't just materialize out of thin air. Instead, reality rearranges itself through a series of perfectly natural events, each one leading to the next, until your desire appears. These events seem like coincidences. They seem like luck. They seem like random chance. But they're not. They're the universe reorganizing itself to match your new state. Let me give you an example. A man named Robert wanted a new job. Not just any job, a specific position at a specific company that wasn't even hiring. He practiced the techniques. Every night, he fell asleep feeling himself shaking hands with his new boss, feeling the leather chair in his new office, feeling the weight of the new business card in his pocket. Nothing happened for 3 weeks. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, an old college friend called. They hadn't spoken in years. The friend mentioned he was working at that exact company. During the conversation, Robert mentioned his expertise in a certain area. The friend said, "That's interesting. We've actually been struggling with that. Let me connect you to someone." That connection led to a coffee meeting. The meeting led to an informal conversation with the department head. That conversation revealed that the company had been quietly considering creating a new position, but hadn't posted it yet. Robert got the job. Was this luck? Coincidence? Random chance? Or was it the bridge of incidents, reality rearranging itself to match Robert's new feeling state? Here's what's critical to understand. When you practice these techniques, you are not controlling how your desire manifests. You're not manipulating specific people or forcing specific outcomes. You're changing yourself. You're shifting your state. You're altering your frequency. And then reality, which is, as Neville said, yourself pushed out, reorganizes to match. The how is not your business. The what is not your job to figure out. Your only job is to feel the end result, to embody it so completely that your subconscious accepts it as real, and then to pay attention, to notice the bridge of incidents as it appears, to say yes when opportunity knocks, even if it looks different than you expected. This is where most people fail. They do the practice, they feel the feeling, and then they wait for a miracle. They wait for the phone to ring with perfect news. They wait for money to appear in their bank account. They wait for their perfect partner to knock on the door. But that's not how the bridge works. The bridge looks like normal life. It looks like a conversation with a friend, a random article you stumble across, an impulse to go somewhere you wouldn't normally go. These are the stepping stones. And if you're so busy waiting for a miracle that you ignore the stepping stones, you miss the bridge entirely. Neville said, "Signs follow, they do not precede." This means you don't wait for evidence before believing. You believe first, you feel first, and then evidence appears. But it appears as natural events, as the bridge, as one thing leading to another, leading to your desire. There's a reason I'm telling you this now. Because after tonight, after you begin practicing these techniques, things are going to start shifting. You might not recognize them at first. They'll look like coincidences, lucky breaks, random opportunities, but they won't be random. They'll be the bridge. And if you understand what you're looking at, if you recognize it as the universe responding to your new state, you'll know to say yes, to step forward, to cross. Your job is the feeling. Reality's job is building the bridge. Pay attention, your bridge might appear tomorrow. Before I close, I want to share one more technique that Neville considered essential. He called it revision. Here's the problem many people face. They have years, sometimes decades, of memories that reinforce the opposite of what they want. Memories of failure, rejection, loss, disappointment. These memories live in the subconscious, and every time you encounter a similar situation, those old memories activate. They create expectation, and expectation shapes experience. So even when you practice the manifestation techniques, even when you feel the wish fulfilled, those old memories can create resistance, can block, can sabotage. Revision is how you clear them. Here's how it works. Before sleep, after you've done your manifestation practice, take a moment to review your day. But don't just review it as it happened, revise it. Any moment that didn't go the way you wanted, any conversation that left you feeling bad, any event that reinforced old limiting beliefs, replay it in your imagination, but change it. Imagine the conversation going differently. Feel the other person responding the way you wish they had. Experience the event unfolding in a way that supports your new state. And here's the key. Don't just see the revision. Feel it. Use your hands. Touch the revised reality. Make it sensory. What you're doing is overwriting memory. Remember, your subconscious can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and an actual one. So when you revise a negative memory, when you feel it happening differently, your subconscious begins to update its records. The old programming gets rewritten, and new experiences become possible. Neville used revision constantly. He taught his students to revise their entire past, not to deny what happened, but to change how it lives in their nervous system. Because the past doesn't exist except as memory, and memory is malleable. When you change how the past feels, you change what the present can become. This is advanced metaphysics, but it's also profound neuroscience. We know now that every time you recall a memory, you're actually reconstructing it, and each reconstruction is slightly different from the last. Memory isn't a recording, it's a recreation. Revision uses this fact deliberately. It recreates your past in alignment with who you're becoming. Let me give you a simple nightly practice. Step 1. Review your day. Notice any moment that triggered negative feeling. Step 2. Bring your thumb to your pinky, emotional release. Allow the negative feeling to soften. Step 3. Now replay that moment, but revise it. Imagine it going perfectly. Feel the satisfaction, the ease, the success. Step 4. Press thumb, index, and ring together. Will focus form. Lock in the revised memory. Step 5. Release and say, "It is done." Do this every night. Watch your past transform, and with it, your future. Let's return to where we began. You came here because manifestation hasn't worked for you, because you've tried everything, or so you thought, and nothing changed. Now you understand why. You were trying to manifest with thought alone. And thought without sensation lacks mass. It can't cross the bridge from imagination into form. Your hands are the bridge. When you use them consciously, to activate will, to anchor feeling, to release resistance, to ground desire into form, you're not hoping anymore. You're creating. Not from desperation, not from lack, from the calm certainty of someone who already is what they wish to become. Let me share something Neville said near the end of his life. By then, he had taught thousands. He had seen manifestations that seemed miraculous, healings, fortunes, relationships appearing against all odds. But in his final lectures, he became less interested in manifestation as a way to get things. He said, "The real purpose of this teaching is not to get you what you want. It's to show you who you really are." Think about that. The real purpose isn't getting, it's knowing. When you practice these techniques, when you enter the state of fulfillment, when you feel the sensation of already having, you're not manipulating reality. You're remembering something. You're remembering that you are consciousness itself, that you are the dreamer, not just the dream, that the world you see is a reflection of the state you hold. This isn't about becoming more successful at getting what you want. It's about waking up to the nature of existence. And in that waking up, you discover that you are far more powerful, far more connected, far more whole than you ever imagined. The hands you've been using tonight, the fingers you've been pressing together, they're not just tools for manifestation. They're reminders that you are an embodied consciousness, that you shape reality through felt experience, that the secret to life isn't out there somewhere, It's right here, in your body, in your hands, in this moment. Neville spent his life pointing to this truth, and now you hold it, literally. So how do you integrate this into your life? Let me give you a simple daily structure, something you can begin tonight. Morning activation, 2 to 3 minutes. When you wake up, before you check your phone, before you leave bed, do the will activation. Press thumb to index finger. Take 3 slow breaths. Say silently, "Today, I am the person who already has blank." Fill in your desire. Feel the sensation of certainty. Even if faint, even if doubts whisper, just feel it. Then release and start your day. Midday reset, 1 minute. At some point midday, during lunch, during a break, do the emotional release. Press thumb to pinky. Take 3 slow breaths. Notice any tension, stress, or resistance that has built up. Let it soften. Let it flow. Let it go. You're clearing the channel, keeping the pipe open. Evening practice, 5 to 10 minutes. Before sleep, do the complete sequence. Lie down comfortably. Close your eyes. Begin with thumb index. Feel decision and certainty. Imagine your desire fulfilled. Feel what your hands are touching in that reality. Make it vivid. Sensory. If resistance arises, shift to thumb pinky. Release it, then add the ring finger. Feel the desire solidifying. Finally, release all finger connections. Rest your hands open. Say, "It is done. Thank you." Let yourself drift to sleep in that state. Nightly revision, 2 to 3 minutes. After your manifestation practice, review your day. Revise any moment that didn't go well. Feel it happening perfectly. Lock it in with thumb index ring, release, and sleep. This simple practice, done consistently, will change your life. Not because of magic, not because of wishful thinking, but because you're using the actual mechanisms of consciousness and neurology to shift your internal state. And when your internal state shifts, your external reality follows. So here's where we are. You came to this video wanting to know why manifestation hasn't worked. Now you know. It's not because you're doing it wrong. It's because you were trying to manifest with thought alone, and thought without sensation lacks mass. It can't cross the bridge from imagination into form. Your hands are the bridge. When you use them consciously to activate will, to anchor feeling, to release resistance, to ground desire into form, you're not hoping anymore. You're creating. Tonight, when you lie down to sleep, I want you to do one thing. Hold the feeling. Literally. Press your thumb to your index finger. Close your eyes. Imagine your fulfilled desire with as much sensory detail as possible. Feel what your hands are touching, the texture, the temperature, the realness, and then let yourself drift to sleep in that state. Don't analyze. Don't judge whether you're doing it right. Just feel. That's all. Neville often ended his lectures with a simple blessing. He would say, "Go in peace, and know that this very night, your prayer is answered." He didn't say, "might be answered." Didn't say, "could be answered if you're good enough." He said, "is answered." Because in the moment you truly feel the fulfillment, in the moment it becomes sensation rather than thought. The creation is complete. All that remains is the unfolding, and your only job is to stay in the feeling. Your hands are not passive. They are sensory gateways through which consciousness condenses into form. Imagination begins creation, but sensation seals it. Tonight, hold the feeling and watch your life transform. Now I need you to do something. And I don't ask this lightly. If this video shifted something in you, if you felt that moment when the technique landed, then you're not the same person you were an hour ago. Something opened. And here's what I've learned after years of teaching this work. The people who act on what they've learned are the ones who transform, not tomorrow, not when the time is right, now. So here's what I want you to do. First, drop a comment below. Tell me one thing. What are you choosing to manifest using these techniques? Don't be vague. Be specific. Write it down like it's already done. I am now living in my dream home. I am now in a loving, committed relationship. I am now experiencing vibrant health. I am now financially free. When you type it, you're not just commenting. You're declaring. You're activating the will. You're collapsing possibility into intention. And something remarkable happens when you declare publicly. You create accountability with the universe. I read every single comment. And I've seen it happen hundreds of times. People comment their intention. They do the practice. And weeks or months later, they come back to tell me it happened. Your comment could be next. Second, if this video opens something in you, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, because this isn't the end. This is the beginning. I'm going to be sharing more techniques, deeper practices, the advanced methods that Neville taught only to his closest students. But I can only share them with people who are here, who showed up, who committed. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel. You're joining a community of people who understand that reality isn't fixed. That consciousness creates. That you are the operant power. That's rare. And it matters. Third, share this video with one person who needs it. You know who they are. Someone who's been struggling. Someone who's tried everything. Someone who's about to give up. Send them this link. You might be the bridge of incidents in their life. You might be the coincidence that changes everything for them. That's not small. That's how transformation spreads. And tonight, hold the feeling. I'll see you in the next one.